Donald Trump is going after the Native Americans. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not making this up, folks. Listen. Donald Trump is going after the American Indians, the Navajo, all the Indian tribes in the United States, and he is trying to overthrow birthright citizenship for Native Americans. Folks, if he can do that, then black people don't have a chance. If you're African American, if you're black, or consider yourself an African American or black, you don't have a chance.
And when they're done with us, they won't have a need for you. So who you think is next?
Right, giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is the Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles by the Holy Spirit, who taught us this truth. Honors to the brothers, making their bodies a living sacrifice to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the hopeful elect will be 1/3 of these people who will return back to the Most High and receive salvation, while the 2/3 of our people who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed in judgment. We are back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be titled, Letters Were Sent to Kill All Israelites. Esther 3 and 13 is happening right now. Again, letters were sent to kill all Israelites. Esther 3 and 13, it's about to happen right now. Okay, so we got a lot of information we're going to get into. Lord willing, we get it all out. So pretty much what's being set up is the extermination of the children of Israel, which they attempted in the book of Esther, but it didn't go through. These mass deportations, them throwing people in prison, they're not just snatching up people to move them out of the country or to just keep them in prison for the rest of their life. No, they setting up shop because they about to try to get ready to exterminate us. This is gradualism. So this is a build up to Esther 3 and 13, which is going to play out here in the last days. And just real quick, this is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be. That which is done is that which shall be done. So the thing of the past is going to be a thing of the future. There is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? So they're about to try to get ready to exterminate us, but this ain't the first time that the nations would try to exterminate us. It had been already of old time, which was before us. So going back, the nations have always wanted to exterminate us, but Esau the white man is about to really get to it. So I got a video we gonna watch from Off Grid Desert Farming with Paul. People know I'm a fan of his work. A lot of us are, but this is the video we gonna watch. Breaking news: Trump's war on brown-skinned people aims to end birthright citizenship. Now my mom sent me this. Shout out to her. So look at the thumbnail. What do we open up the videos with? The so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. Again, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. What he got on his thumbnail represents the lost 12 tribes of Israel, which these people represent these 12 tribes collectively. They can be summarized by the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans / Seminole Indians. This is not by coincidence. This is prophecy. You can't deny prophecy. Trump wants to end birthright citizenship for the 12 tribes of Israel, not the Chinese, not the Middle Eastern people, not the Arabians, not the East Indian people that's over here, just the 12 tribes. That's who they after. That's who these mass deportations are targeting, the 12 tribes of Israel. Why? It's not about deporting illegal immigrants. It's not about getting illegal aliens out of the country. It's about the extermination of the children of Israel. They're going after so-called Mexicans and so-called Venezuelans. What they're not telling you is that they also snatching up Native Americans. They're not telling you that they snatching up Negroes just on a small level. It's going to increase, and this is about our extermination. Got nothing to do with deporting us. That's just what they telling you. So we gonna get into Paul's video right now, and I respect him because he kept it all the way 100 in his video as a Edomite, by appearance at least. So check this out. He gonna keep it real with you. And for our people, y'all don't listen to us, but when the white man tell you, y'all listen. So check this out.
And for the minorities in our country, I am sorry if you voted for Trump. If you're Hispanic, if you're African American, if you're Native American, I am sorry that you voted for him, because he's going to betray you. He's going to go after you and your children and your grandchildren, and he's trying to do it right now with the 14th Amendment, the birthright citizenship. He has a team of lawyers right now in the court system trying to overthrow the 14th Amendment, guaranteeing birthright citizenship for Americans. That means that if you were born in America, you are an American citizen. He's trying to throw that out. Donald Trump is going after the Native Americans. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not making this up, folks. Listen. Donald Trump is going after the American Indians, the Navajo, all the Indian tribes in the United States. They're called the Native Americans. Listen. If Donald Trump can succeed in overthrowing birthright citizenship for Native Americans that has been here for thousands of years, they were the first Americans. They are the ones that settled this country. They've been here, nobody really knows how long, but they were here when the first white settlers came to America. They were already here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And he is trying to overthrow birthright citizenship for Native Americans. Folks, if he can do that, then black people don't have a chance.
Thank you. If he can overthrow birthright citizenship for Native Americans, the people who were here first, what did he say? You so-called Negroes, you so-called blacks don't have a chance. And that's the whole point of this lesson, that you 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, you don't have a chance of survival for what's coming. Except you be of the elect that's going to return back to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. As he said, you so-called blacks don't have a chance. Let's go back.
They were here when the first white settlers came to America. They were already here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And he is trying to overthrow birthright citizenship for Native Americans. Folks, if he can do that, then black people don't have a chance. If you're African American, if you're black, or consider yourself an African American or black, you don't have a chance.
He said it again, you don't have a chance. He's keeping it all the way real. But this is already in the scriptures. But your 12 tribes, you don't have a chance.
Because if he can deport Indians, American Indians, then you're going to be going next or become slaves.
Yep, and we're going to get into a lot of this. So how is this going to happen? Well, let's go back in time and let's jump to Esther chapter 3, go straight to the point, verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. So pretty much these letters, these reminders, a word went out that all the people in the king's provinces, all the other nations of people would come together to crack down on the Jews, who were Israelites. To what? To exterminate them, to destroy them, to kill them, to cause them to perish. But in order to kill an entire group of people, you first got to round them up. And that's what these mass deportations are. They rounding up the children of Israel, beginning with the Northern Kingdom. So-called Mexicans, Venezuelans, so-called South Americans, they rounded them up first. Now, with the birthright citizenship, we see who they targeted next. So-called Native Americans, so-called Seminole Indians, the people who were here in the Americas first. Side note, so-called Mexicans, Venezuelans, South Americans, they was here in America first as well, Central South America. Now, after they get the whole Northern Kingdom, the people who are natives to the Americas, they're going to get the people who was brought to the Americas against their will. So-called blacks, Negroes, etc. They're going to come after us next. And Elder Rakah, he said something that was beautiful. He said the Northern Kingdom going to get it first. Who is the Northern Kingdom? So-called Latin American tribes of Central and South America, and the so-called Native American Indians, Seminole Indians. He said the Northern Kingdom is going to get it first, but the Southern Kingdom, you so-called blacks, you Negroes, going to get it worse. So what they doing with these so-called, Mexicans, deporting them, harassing them, stalking them, snatching them up, what they do to us blacks is going to be way worse. They going to come full force. They just warming up right now. But again, how they say in Esther 3 and 13, letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day. Well, you will have to round those people up. And that's what they're doing right now. It's a roundup. So I guess from there, we're going to show that actual letters are being sent out right now to round us up, to follow us, to stalk us, to get license plate numbers, addresses, what kind of vehicles we drive. Not only that, they passing laws and legislation that they will pay people to turn us in. So letters are being sent out into all the provinces today. What's the different provinces today? The city and states here in America. It's not going to be everything all at once for the whole country. One thing may pop off in one city, and then another city is going to adopt it, and then another state is going to adopt it. Pretty soon, it's going to be nationwide. But let's get into this next video. And we're going to jump around. Esau showing his true colors, the brown Roundup. The brown Roundup. Check this out.
All right, heading now to Toledo, Oregon, a coastal town just outside of Newport. Right now, the Toledo City Council is meeting, and on their agenda for discussion tonight, a racist letter sent to several city leaders. Here's a live...
See that? A racist letter sent to several city leaders. What did it say here? Letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces. So now let's see what was written in this letter. We're going to jump ahead a little bit.
Just about everyone.
Well, gotta go coach our junior high boys in their last game.
But last week, Toledo Mayor Rod Cross got a shock in his mailbox at home.
If you see a bunch of brown folks getting in a car, write down the plate number.
A letter titled The Brown Roundup, Part 1.
And it's states that starting the last part of January 2025, this nation will commence the largest roundup of brown illegals in our history.
It goes on to explain how to help that effort.
So when they say they want to round up brown people, this doesn't include East Indians. This doesn't include Arabs or Chinese or Japanese or Koreans. When they say brown people, they talking about the 12 tribes. You so-called Mexicans, Native Americans, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, etc. But then guess what? You so-called blacks, you so-called Negroes are next, and we don't have a chance. Except, the Lord be with us. But the brown roundup, aka the Israelite roundup.
Example, parking in a church parking lot and taking down license plates.
See? Follow us in the church parking lots. Let's go back so I don't interrupt it.
January 2025, this nation will commence the largest roundup of brown illegals in our history.
It goes on to explain how to help that effort.
For example, parking in a church parking lot and taking down license plates and car makes and models of folks that are brown. Schools, as you wait in line to pick up the kiddos or the grandkiddos, if you see brown folks, record the plate number.
Wow.
Mayor Cross says the letter was sent to his home.
I'm a proud American veteran. And this...
See, the letters were sent to his home. They say, go to church parking lots, get license plate numbers. If you see them picking their children up from school, report it. And again, Esther 3 and 13, and letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces. And the letter was titled, or is being called, the Brown Roundup. They getting ready to round up all 12 tribes. They're beginning with what they want to call illegal immigrants first. That's what it's going to start as, but it's going to turn into even us Israelites who are citizens here. That's why first they got to remove our birthright citizenship, which makes us all U.S. citizens. Once they remove our citizenship, then they can declare us as illegals, as immigrants, as trespassers, criminals. And then they can do what they want to us. Now, that was one video of letters being sent out. Let's get another video of letters and memos being sent out.
Were many that were still suffering today.
House Bill 1484, the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program, offers a $1,000 reward to registered bounty hunters for each successful deportation they facilitate. The bill proposed by DeSoto County District Attorney Matthew Barton.
So that's again Esther 3 and 13, and letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, to cause to perish all Jews. So again, before you kill an entire nation of people, you got to round them up. And now U.S. citizens can register to become a bounty hunter. They're going to start with so-called illegal immigrants. But how do you know who's legal or not illegal? Nope, this is targeting the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And then these Americans are prideful. So what they gonna do? Go to people's houses, walk up on people while they sitting in a vehicle, while they in a grocery store? But we gonna get also verse 12 first. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governor that were over every province. So it's speaking about the governors. The governors passed the bills and legislation. And what is this bill? This is House Bill 1484. And to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Osiris, was it written and sealed with the king's ring. So when it says that it was sealed with the king's ring, that's the equivalent of President Trump signing all these executive orders. The letters being signed with the king's ring, That's the equivalent to Trump writing his signature on the executive order. So what Esther 3 and 13 was about, the letters being sent into all provinces to kill all of the Jews, that was an executive order. That's why you got a flood of executive orders being signed right now. And then, as we continue, the letters were sent by post into all the king provinces to destroy, to kill, to cause to perish all Jews, both young, old, little children, and women in one day. And then when you get 14, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province. So copies were sent out to every province. So that's what, your letters, mail. How would that happen today? Letters are being sent out. House bills are being sent out. Text messages, emails, group chats, WhatsApps. Secret Facebook groups and whatnot. That's the equivalent of the copying of the copy of these different orders being sent out. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. So all people are being ready for the day that they want to totally round up the children of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, to round us up, to exterminate us. That's what they're getting ready for. But it's going to be through gradualism, because even this right here, it didn't happen all at once. Letters had to be sent out. Executive orders had to be signed and sealed with the king's ring. Reminders were sent out. Memos. People wrote it on their calendars. That's what's taking place right now. So we're going to get back to this video, and then we're going to finish it out and get on to the next one.
That we're still suffering today.
House Bill 1484, the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program, offers a $1,000 reward to registered bounty hunters for each successful deportation they facilitate. The bill proposed by DeSoto County District Attorney Matthew Barton.
I think that this could be a statewide program that would really help.
December 2024, Barton.
See that right now, it's DeSoto County, but he said it could be a statewide program. So the entire state could start hiring bounty hunters to start hunting down illegal immigrants. Really, to start hunting down you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, because we all look the same. He said this could be a statewide program. What's after that? Then it's going to be another state. It's going to be statewide there. Another state going to adopt it. What's after that? Then it's going to be a nationwide thing. That all people be ready to hunt us down. And then again, they're not hunting down none of those Chinese men that came over here through the border. They're not hunting down none of these Middle Eastern people, Arab people, East Indian people, none of these Japanese people. They hunting down the 12 tribes. Or none of the Ukrainians that fled over here. But that's why 14 again says the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people. So every province, that's when one state adopts it. Then the whole nation adopts it. That they should be ready against that day. So Esau, Edom, the white man, is about to turn the American people against the 12 tribes. They getting ready. First, they got to make us an enemy and a target. They got to make us the new boogeyman. They got to make us the problem that they can correct.
Telling WREG how he plans to get tough on illegal immigrants in DeSoto County through a bounty hunter program. Barton says will augment federal efforts.
I've talked to ICE a few times, and they only have so many people, working for ICE, and
they only have so many people. Yeah, they trying to round us up. So we gonna go to the next video, and we gonna listen to this woman speak. Listen closely to what she says, keeping in mind what Paul already said. If they can target Native Americans, so-called black people in America don't have a chance.
Everyone. Every time they were done with us, they then projected all their hate for us onto the black community. When they arrived in these lands in 1492, they started enslaving us right off the bat. They started taking us back to Europe before they even brought Africans over here. They were already genociding us. When they were losing too many of us, they went to Africa and picked your ancestors up and brought them to here. Every time they displace us, every time they remove us from our lands, it aids in our genocide. They need our resources, and they can't have indigenous people standing in their way. Mass deportations are aiding in indigenous people's genocide.
Yeah, these mass deportations is about the genocide of the children of Israel, not just the genocide of the Native Americans, not just the genocide of so-called Mexicans, but the genocide of the children of Israel. That's what Esther 3:13 is about. And letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews. That's a genocide. That's what's being orchestrated right now. Now, let's let her finish talking.
And when they're done with us, they won't have a need for you. So who you think is next?
Exactly. When they got rid of the so-called Mexicans, South Americans, so-called Native Americans, Seminole Indians, who do you think is next? You so-called blacks. What did Paul say? If they can target and actually come down on the Native Americans, you blacks don't stand a chance. They no longer have a need for us. But that's why Elder Ricard, he said, if the Northern Kingdom get it first, us so-called blacks gonna get it worse. See, they warming up on the Northern Kingdom. They warming up on the so-called Mexicans. Once they come down on the so-called Negroes, they gonna come full force. Now we got another video, and we gonna get into that one. So check this one out.
On Thursday, ICE detained American citizens, a military veteran, and one of my colleagues and her son, who is 8 years old. Now, my colleague and her son are Black Americans.
So they already detaining American citizens. She said an American veteran. She said they detain Black Americans who are Jamaican. And what is Jamaica? The West Indians, the tribe of Benjamin. So they really already targeting so-called black, so-called Negroes. It's just on a small scale. You may hear about it here and there. But we're going to let the woman finish speaking.
They have Jamaican ancestry. They were detained for over 24 hours. That's how long it took us and lawyers to get them out of ICE detainment. And the son now has extensive trauma, and they are Black Americans. I'm not sitting this out. I just said in another video, I'm not sitting anything out because our community is going to need us. Black Americans were detained. That means they're not going after just people who are illegals, as you want to call them. They're going after whoever they can. And the 14th Amendment was an amendment that gave Black people birthright citizenship that were descendants of slaves. So if that is repealed and they go after one group, who do you think they're going after next? I'm not sitting anything out.
As she said, if she went after one group, who do you think they're going after next? And she say it's not just about illegal immigrants that they're detaining, that they detaining American citizens. She said they trying to get whoever they can get. Well, the people that they trying to get, it's not at random. Whoever they trying to get would be the 12 tribes. Let's backtrack real quick.
My colleague and her son are Black American citizens. They have Jamaican ancestry. They were detained for over 24 hours. That's how long it took us and lawyers to get them out of ICE detainment. And the son now has extensive trauma, and they are Black Americans. I'm not sitting this out. I just said in another video, I'm not sitting anything out because our community is going to need us. Black Americans were detained. That means they're not going after just people who are illegals, as you want to call them. They're going after whoever they can.
So when they going after whoever they can, that's of the 12 tribes. You haven't heard nothing about no Chinese men being detained. You ain't heard nothing about no Japanese men being deported. No Middle Eastern, Arabs, East Indians, no Ethiopians, Kenyans, no Africans being deported. No, it's the 12 tribes. And then even right here, the text in the video, it says American citizens, military veterans, Black Americans with African and Caribbean ancestry detained by ICE. What's the Caribbeans? So-called Haitians, so-called West Indians. Some may include, Puerto Rico in that, but it's the 12 tribes that they are after. We've seen the videos when everybody was crossing the border, tens of thousands per day. We saw, buses of Chinese people crossing the border. We saw the Chinese crossing the border by the thousands, but you don't hear nothing about them being detained and deported and hunted down. They are after the 12 tribes of Israel. It's not for no reason. Who they messing with is not random. And I think she might have said something like, it's not about just one group of people. Yeah, it's not about just illegal immigrants. It's not about just them getting Venezuelans. And she said they also getting blacks as well. Well, Venezuelans, Mexicans, blacks, whatever you want to call them, it actually is only one group of people. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. They just going after the different tribes. But again, who they going after to deport is not random. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. Because, they started off saying they got to get the Venezuelan gangs out of here, the criminals. But what we about to see, they may be getting some criminals up out of here, some Venezuelan gang members. But they snatching up women and children, breaking up families. That's why the brown Roundup in the first video with the letters that got sent out talk about, follow people at their churches, watch them when they pick up their children from school, get license plates. No, they after the 12 tribes, all of us. So we got that video. We gonna hit the book of Luke. Matter of fact, we go hit Esther 3 and 13 again. Letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day. And again, this is an executive order. Letters were sent out. That's the equivalent of letters being sent out today. Bills being passed, executive orders being signed, emails, text messages, group chats, WhatsApps. But the roundup of these people will also involve the military, because when you hear ICE, that's nothing but the U.S. military. No different than the Coast Guard, the National Guard. They come in military vehicles, military grade weaponry, bulletproof vests. So when they say ICE is detaining people, no, that's the U.S. military. The word ICE is just a cover up to make it sound nice. No, ICE is the U.S. military. That's who being sent after so-called, the 12 tribes. That's who being sent out. And matter of fact, let's get this real quick. Matter of fact, no, we're going to get that later. We're going to come to the book of Luke 21 and 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. And This is future prophecy that Yahushua is talking about. And this is not talking about the land of Jerusalem, but the people of Jerusalem, who would be the 12 tribes, according to scripture, according to prophecy. That the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Seminole Indians in the future, in the last days, which are now, we will be compassed with armies. What's another word for compassed? To be surrounded. What's the armies? Well, the UN troops, the US military, by ICE. ICE is part of the US military. That we will be surrounded by armies. Then note that the desolation thereof is night. What's the desolation? The extermination, the genocide of the children of Israel. Esther 3 and 13 being in full effect. So ICE being here and there, they just setting up shop. They just setting up their military strategically around the country in our communities. So, the mass deportations in these bigger cities, they're going to come down on the smaller cities. But that's really them setting up, compassing us, or surrounding us with their military. Now we're going to read this in a different translation. This is Luke 21 and 20, same verse. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, see that? And we are being surrounded right now. They call it ICE that they setting up in these major cities. ICE going to be in the smaller cities as well. And then not only ICE, they taking American citizens and making them certified bounty hunters. So now they're an extension of the U.S. military. These bounty hunters that they could be paying $1,000 each. Yeah, when you see Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem here in America surrounded by armies, not just ICE, but the U.S. military, UN troops, militia groups, bounty hunters, then you will know that the time of its destruction is genocide. Its extermination has arrived because 2/3 of our people will be exterminated. And when we get Isaiah 59 and 19, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, then the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. So it's going to be a particular day when the enemy comes in like a flood. They're not coming in like a flood right now. They're hitting certain cities, certain communities. They still setting up, spreading themselves out to surround us. But there's a particular day the enemy's going to come in like a flood. What's the thing about a flood? It's all over the place. There's no escape. But that's why going back to Esther 3 and 14, when it says the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. And the American military is also with the U.S. citizens, they getting ready for that day that they're going to come in like a flood to round us up, to try to exterminate us. So we got another video we going to get. And thank you to all the brothers that put these videos together. So we going to get this next one. Because again, ICE, this is the military. They call it ICE to make it sound nice. This is the military that they send in after illegal immigrants. This is the military that's snatching up U.S. citizens, of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now check this out.
To be back? It does. It feels good. Not because I want to be here, but because I want to solve some problems that really have developed. And problems, when I left, we had no wars. We had no inflation. We were riding high, and look at what's happened to our country. And now we have to get people out of our country that would have never been here.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets.
ICE officers, that's the military. But check this out.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston.
You hear that? 5 degrees. That's even in the scriptures. That's even in the scriptures. Because what did the Lord say? But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath. Ain't it? And we in the winter right now? In Texas, we not, but in a good portion of the U.S., they in the winter season. And it's this winter season that they started trying to round up all the children of Israel. What they call mass deportations, what they call getting the criminals out of here. Again, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. That's when they started snatching up Issachar in the northern kingdom. Because they know for the most part it's cold, everybody probably at home. And then another thing you see, they snatching people when it's dark out. And there's stories, you know, that they don't just operate in the daytime. No, they operating at night. They snatching people up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. What they say is 5 degrees outside. While they playing who they gonna snatch up next. For then shall be great tribulation. We in that time of tribulation. But it's gonna get much worse. Since was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor never shall be. So it's gonna be a time of trouble, unlike anything that the world has ever seen before on the 12 tribes. But we won't continue with the rest of this video.
Where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming around.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for him.
Average of 312 arrests, so definitely an increase there. They targeted those with warrants. We also saw the DEA, ATF, and FBI assist as the Trump administration is looking to get more to help Border Patrol and ICE agents. And we saw it happen in Chicago, Denver, Houston, Miami, and San Antonio, right in that border state.
Begin with this. ICE and the DEA raided a makeshift nightclub early this morning in Adams County.
They raided a nightclub
that they say is run by members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. A total of 49 people were inside, and immigration officials say 41 were in the country illegally. Authorities seized drugs, weapons, and cash.
Okay, so they lying. So, okay, they may be snatching up Venezuelan gang members, MS-13 gang members. But for every one gang member that they snatched up, know that they snatched up 50 other people. 50 people who working on a citizenship, who working on a documentation, who got regular jobs, who contribute to life here in America. So for every one gang member they done snatched up 50 regular people. And I'm just throwing a number out there, maybe smarter than 50, bigger than 50. But the few gang members they get, they put it all over the news like they making progress. Like they cleaning up the streets in America. It's enough Americans that do crime in America. The Venezuelans, not a problem.
Fox 31's Kasha Karich joins us live from the DEA's office in Centennial with the very latest on this investigation.
What about all the Chinese people that's walking up on U.S. military bases, Air Force bases, naval bases? Not to mention the Chinese buying up all this land around the military bases. So again, what about the Chinese walking up on U.S. military bases? It seems like you will be after them to deport them.
Dangerous people shouldn't be here, and if they're here, they should be gone, period. But when we're talking mass...
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
So, you feel me? Yo.
What he say? I'm not going back to Haiti. Let's go to the 12 tribe chart. Haiti, tribe of Levi. So they're not just after Venezuelans or Guatemalans or illegal so-called Mexicans. No, they're after all the 12 tribes. They telling you that they after, criminals and gang leaders. But they snatching up regular people.
Forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
First, Tom, when you see that video, I'm curious, what do you think?
Troops on the ground in San Diego, a part of President Trump's promise to crack down on the situation at the southern border. Friday, Sky.
See that? U.S. military troops in San Diego. Whether you call them U.S. troops or Border Patrol or ICE agents, it's the U.S. military. They just go by different names. Now check this out.
NBC News has also learned this morning that the country of Colombia has recently turned away 2 deportation flights from the United States. Each of those flights held about 80 people, all Colombian migrants.
So they after Colombians. So we know that they after so-called Venezuelans, so-called Mexicans. They crack it down on the Haitians. Now they after Colombians. The Colombians would be the tribe of Asher. So again, it may seem like they're after random people, but all the people that's being deported, you can find on the 12 tribe chart. They after the 12 tribes. You heard nothing about no so-called Middle Eastern people, no Chinese people being deported, no Japanese people, no Koreans being deported, no Ukrainians being deported. Only the 12 tribes.
NBC News has also learned this morning that the country of Colombia has recently turned away 2 deportation flights from the United States. Each of those flights held about 80 people, all Colombian migrants, according to a defense official. The aircraft, which were American military C-17s, were initially cleared to land in Colombia, but the president, Gustavo Petro, revoked diplomatic clearances for all U.S. flights, meaning no military or ICE flights will now be allowed to land.
So they deported people on U.S. military aircraft because it's the military that's going after these people. A regular pilot can't fly a U.S. military aircraft, only the military. So it's the military that's going after these people. So what? This is a war. This is the beginning stages of the war against the children of Israel. And that's why when we get Revelation 12 and 17, and the dragon, which represents the so-called white man, was wroth, meaning angry, wrathful with the woman. And who's the woman? Represents the people of Israel, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. So this is the beginning of Esau Edom making war and coming down on the children of Israel. How do you go to war? With your military. What is ICE? The military. What's Border Patrol? The military. Went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh, the testimony of Yahweh Shai. So pretty soon, they're going to narrow it down on the 12 tribes of Israel who appear to be in the truth. They watch our videos. They know who comment. They got your IP address. They watch our conversations. That's the prize that they want, but it's the whole nation of Israel that they after. So we showed that it's the military that's rounding people up. Now, we're going to get into some info that Native American tribes are being snatched up. Now, let's watch this Edomite here.
It's now way past day one, and actually what he's doing is sticking his ICE thugs to harass, round up, and it seems try and detain Native Americans who are more American than you and I for no other reason other than complete and utter bigotry.
Right.
That's what this is. Let me tell you what's going on. Reports of Navajo people being detained in immigration sweeps sparks concern from tribal leaders. 13th Amendment. So neither should children of non-citizens born in the U.S. Think about that.
See, it's obvious that the immigrants that come up from South Central America and Mexico, it's obvious a lot of them don't have citizenship. That's why they're able to deport them. Now what they're arguing is that indigenous people, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, now they're trying to argue that they don't have birthright citizenship neither. They're trying to revoke the 14th Amendment and say the Native Americans are not citizens. So then what? They can be rounded up. Because again, where can you deport these people to? They've been in America for thousands of years. Where can you deport them to? Again, it's not about deportation. It's not about getting certain people out of America. This is a roundup. They want to round up what's left of the indigenous people of North America to exterminate them. And then after that, you blacks don't have a chance.
They're arguing that Native Americans whose land we stole by raping, pillaging, kidnapping, and murdering, they're not rightful American citizens. As U.S.
Check this.
Yeah, because again, the dragon is making war with the people of Israel. And to go to war with somebody, you first need to target the enemy. What Esau the white man do? He makes an imaginary enemy. Mexicans, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, they were made to be an enemy. Now they're trying to make Native Americans an enemy. They say they don't have citizenship, that they shouldn't be here. Well, they will, by default, say the same thing about the so-called blacks, and that what? We need to be deported. This is their land, and we was brought here against our will.
As U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement intensifies its effort to apprehend and deport undocumented immigrants throughout the country, we saw massive raids in Chicago, in particular over the weekend, concerns rising among indigenous communities residing in urban areas about reports of indigenous people being detained in the valley. Navajo tribal leaders have received alarming reports that their tribal members are being detained, heightening uncertainties over the implications of these actions have for their communities and the safety of their people. Quote, "We now know that Navajo people and enrolled members of other tribes are being detained in Phoenix and other cities by ICE," Navajo Nation Council Speaker Crystalline Curley said during a committee meeting on Thursday. The reports that we have received indicate that we need to coordinate an operation or some type of response to help our enrolled tribal members here on Navajo Nation.
So Native Americans are being detained in multiple states. That's not by coincidence. That's not random. They are after the 12 tribes of Israel.
But wait a minute, MAGA. I thought that this was about going after criminals. I thought this was about going after the people bringing in fentanyl.
Yeah, we thought this was about criminals and people that were selling drugs. But again, what about the Chinese people that's walking up on U.S. military bases?
I thought this was about going after the people that murdered Lake and Riley. I thought that this was about going after the bad ones, as Trump said. They're not bringing their best. What does going after Native Americans have to do with keeping America safe?
And white Native Americans, because they rounded up the 12 tribes of Israel. This is the beginning stages of Esther 3 and 13.
Absolutely nothing. And I don't give a shit if you want to subscribe.
See, he said, people can't put the pieces together. They think Trump know what he doing. They after the 12 tribes of Israel. So now we're going to go back to the guy Paul, and we're going to play some more of his video. And we're going to kind of jump around, and we'll be done in about 5 minutes.
another Adolf Hitler. And if you are black, if you are Hispanic, if you are an American Indian, you better be worried. You better be worried. And
what did he say? So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. He said, we better be worried. And the scripture said the same thing. Because what? We in trouble. And this is Jeremiah 30:7. For that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. The trouble for the 12 tribes. Trouble for the so-called Latinos. Trouble for the so-called Native Americans. And trouble for the so-called Negroes. This is that time of trouble. It says, but he shall be saved out of it. So our people ultimately going to be saved out of this trouble. Which should be those who turn back to the Most High, whom the Lord's going to bring that salvation to. But 2/3 of our people, they about to get exterminated. Yep, they about to get exterminated. So let's go back to Paul.
This is my advice. If you're Hispanic, if you're an illegal immigrant, I would get my butt out of the United States so fast it would make your head spin. Because what I'm about to show you is going to shock you to the core. Not only are they going to try to deport illegal immigrants, if they cannot deport them within a 24-hour period, they have plans to lock them in prison the rest of their life. And
see that? So those who are not deported within 24 hours. And then again, how can you deport Native American Indians? They got nowhere to go. How do you deport so-called Negroes, so-called blacks? Got nowhere to go. The Native Americans found this land first. So-called blacks, Negroes, a lot of us was brought over here against our will. We got nowhere to go. And he say, if people are not detained within 24 hours, they could be thrown in prison for life. And the scriptures say that too, and we about to show it.
You're an illegal immigrant, I would get my butt out of the United States so fast it would make your head spin. Because what I'm about to show you is going to shock you to the core. Not only are they going to try to deport illegal immigrants, if they cannot deport them within a 24-hour period, they have plans to lock them in prison the rest of their life.
Yeah, people who have nowhere to go, they're the people that's going to be thrown in prisons for life.
And become slaves in the prison system to be farmed out to corporations as slave labor. Slavery is coming back to America. Thank you, MAGA. Thank you, all of you MAGA people who voted for him. We are now seeing the genesis of slavery returning to the United States of America. It's only been 6 days. What's Trump going to accomplish in 6 months? And there's a lot of people in the South that are Ku Klux Klan and go.
But let's show that we will be thrown in prison. This is Revelation 2:10. For none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil, who is the white man, shall cast some of you into prison. Now, of course, definitely those of us that's in his truth, that's invested in his truth, of course, we on that list to be thrown in there. But really, all 12 tribes expect to be thrown in prison. All 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, expect to be thrown in prison. Because deported, where can you go? They not about to deport millions and millions of Mexicans. You know how many of them it is here. You know how many of us so-called blacks is here. They're not about to spend that money deporting all of us. Expect to go into prison. But that's if you lucky. More so, what you should expect is to be executed on the spot eventually. They're doing a soft roundup. They're going to come full force next. You're lucky if you get through in prison, but they're going to be executing our people on the spot. That's why it says the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Everybody ain't going to get through in prison. Most people going to get eliminated. All right, the devil shall cast some of you in prison that you may be tried. And those of our people, if the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, is not on your side, you're not going to make it out of this prison alive. You're going to be killed, tortured, experimented on, or you're going to receive the RFID microchip to burn in the lake of fire. Quite a few believers will be caught up in these prisons and FEMA death camps, but the Lord is going to deliver them from it. And those who die in there are going to receive that salvation anyway. The devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, that you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee the crown of life. Now we're going to get one more clip of this video, and then we're going to get another precept, and that's going to be a wrap for the night.
Prison, into the prison system for the rest of your life, and you will become a slave of the prison system, and you will be farmed out to these factories and these corporations to be their slave for life. Trump is introducing slavery again, and if I was a Mexican-American undocumented alien, I would get all the money I could and get out of America as fast as possible. As fast as possible. That's my opinion. If you're here illegally, I would leave on my own. I wouldn't wait for ICE. What happens if they grab your kids in school or church? And you'll never get your child back. And now that Trump has the Senate, the House of Representatives, the Supreme Court, and now the U.S. military behind him, backing him, you have no hope.
What did he say? You so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans have no hope. And that's why Revelation 24:22 says, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. So if the Lord didn't speed up the days to his return, Israel will be totally cut off from the earth. It'd be a complete genocide. But for the elect's sake, those of the house of Israel that's going to receive salvation, he's shortening the days. But again, except the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans have no hope. And we don't. And the only hope lies in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, which only a third of our people has that hope. Other 2/3 of our people, there's no hope. This is Ezekiel 21:9. Son of man, prophesy and say, thus says the Lord, a sword is sharpened. A sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. What's that slaughter? Esther 3:13. To kill, to cause to perish, to destroy all Jews. Yeah, so the sword is being sharpened, polished up. Israel is being rounded up. They're going to start exterminating our folks. But that's the lesson. Letters were sent to kill all Israelites. Esther 3:13 is being set up right now. But when it does informative, the next time, Shalom.